ang sa legal purpose po,
Today on Rappler.
While I bow to the wisdom of the Supreme Court, I must say, with all due respect, that its decision on these issues may undo the progress we have achieved so far.
Budget Secretary Butch Abad defends President Aquino's controversial spending program at the Senate. Barely a week after MH17, a Taiwanese airline crashes, killing at least 48 people. And another airplane goes missing as an Air Algerie flight goes off the radar. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The Philippines' economic managers faced the Senate Thursday to defend the administration's controversial spending program. The cabinet members are Budget Secretary Butch Abad, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, and Finance Secretary Cesar Purisima. The government justifies the Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP, as a way to boost economic growth. But critics point out it violates the Constitution and undermines Congress's power of the purse. Facing questions from senators, Abad echoes President Benigno Aquino's defense of the economic benefits and the legality of DAP. He says the High Court's decision declaring two features unconstitutional could reverse economic growth in one of Asia's best-performing economies.
While I bow to the wisdom of the Supreme Court, I must say, with all due respect, that its decision on these issues may undo the progress we have achieved so far. The Philippines did not become one of Asia's best-performing economies by playing it safe. We did not become global pioneers in government transparency and openness by playing it safe. We did all this through the bold and single-minded pursuit of innovation and reform under the leadership of President Aquino. If one must test the boundaries of a system to find the best possible solutions for a challenge that, until then, could not be resolved, shouldn't law respond as inventively and legitimize these measures?
Court declared unconstitutional the creation of savings prior to the end of the fiscal year and the withdrawal of these funds for implementing agencies. But Abad says this means savings can only be declared at the end of the fiscal year. He adds, the sluggish movement of fund releases will compromise government spending performance. Senate President Frank Drilon and other Aquino allies at the Senate help Abad defend the DAP. Drilon, who got 100 million pesos or $2.3 million in DAP fund releases in 2012, asks Abad to confirm that lawmakers did not receive actual funds. Abad answered in the affirmative. Drilon also helps Abad explain that the stimulus measure was done by past administrations and has legal basis in the administrative code despite the Supreme Court ruling. Senator Sonny Trillanes also points out the court did not declare DAP as a whole unconstitutional. He also says the controversy was just a miscommunication. Following the controversy over DAP, the Senate wants to clarify the definition of savings in the national budget. Drilon says the varying interpretations on the meaning of savings spell the difference in opinion between the executive and the Supreme Court. Unlike administration senators, opposition Senator Nancy Binay grills Abad on why the Aquino government resorted to the controversial spending program. She wonders why the executive did not simply ask Congress to fund its priority projects.
Nakakatakot ho kasi Secretary Abad. Nagiging discretion nyo ngayon kung kailan nyo sila bibigyan at hindi. I think that's my last...
Binay zeroes in on the fund transfers the executive branch made to the Commission on Audit, or COA, and the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, which the Supreme Court declared unconstitutional. She says The fiscal independence of constitutional bodies is hijacked by DAP, adding that COMELEC Chairman Sixto Brillantes had to plead for the funds.
Parang ganun ho yung nangyari. Di ba ho, kaya nga ho na may provision din sa Constitution natin na kailangan may fiscal autonomy yung mga constitutional bodies para ho magkaroon ng independence. Di lumalabas ho ngayon, ang laki ng utang na loob sa inyo ng COA kasi nadagdagan ng pondo ang kanilang ahensya.
Sino naman ang sisisihin ng taong bayan? Malamang hindi yung COMELEC eh. Malamang ang executive. Kasi sasabihin ng taong bayan, may pera kayo, hindi pa ninyo tinulungan.
Binay says, quote, "There is no foresight when it comes to planning and budgeting." She also questions the move of the DOTC to withdraw projects after Congress approved funding. This includes the rehabilitation of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 1, seaports, and lighthouses.
Hindi ko alam kung nakakaikot ho kayo sa mga airport natin. Nakakahiya ho yung mga restrooms natin. And na-withdraw ho itong proyekto na to for DAP.
Well, nung winidraw yan,
3 key national events towards the end of July will keep the police force busy. The Philippine National Police says all its units will be placed under heightened alert status in the run-up to 3 major events: the Iglesia ni Cristo or INC Centennial Celebration on Sunday, President Benigno Aquino's State of the Nation Address or SONA on Monday, and Eid al-Fitr or the end of Ramadan on Tuesday. Over 3,200 police personnel will be deployed in JOKOWI, Bulacan, the center of the INC Centennial, and at least 10,000 are part of Super Task Force Kapayapaan for the SONA. The first bodies from flight MH17 arrive in the Netherlands Wednesday, nearly a week after it was shot down over the Ukraine. Church bells ring throughout the country as Dutch military carry 40 wooden coffins from 2 planes. A large crowd at Eindhoven Airport watched the somber ceremony as the coffins are placed in hearses. More bodies are due to arrive, but officials say it could take months for the remains of the 298 victims to be identified. This comes as conflict flares again near the crash site. Kiev says missiles fired from Russia took down 2 of its warplanes in the rebel-controlled area. U.S. intelligence officials allege that pro-Russian separatist rebels mistakenly shot down commercial plane MH17 with surface-to-air missiles. Under international pressure, Russian President Vladimir Putin promised to, quote, "do everything" to influence the separatists and ensure a full probe. Reuters reports a passenger aircraft of Air Algerie en route from Burkina Faso to Algiers has crashed. The airline lost contact with one of its passenger aircraft nearly an hour after takeoff from Burkina Faso Thursday. BBC reports the pilot reportedly contacted air traffic control in Nigeria's capital to change course because of a storm. In a statement, Air Algerie says air navigation services have lost contact with an Air Algerie plane Thursday, flying from Ouagadougou to Algiers 50 minutes after takeoff. Flight AH-5017 had 110 passengers and 6 crew members on board. The airline says 50 French citizens are on board. Barely a week after the tragedy of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, a Taiwanese airline crashed Wednesday, killing 48 people. 10 survived. TransAsia Airways flight GE222 smashed into 2 houses after an aborted landing near Magong Airport. Television images showed firefighters working at the site of the mangled wreckage and soldiers on the scene. The plane was flying from the southwestern city of Kaohsiung and had been delayed by bad weather caused by Typhoon Matmo. U.S. airlines lift flight bans to Israel Thursday, just hours after U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry wrapped up talks aiming to ink a ceasefire to end days of bloodshed in Gaza. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, imposed a ban on commercial flights Tuesday after a rocket hit a house close to a runway in Tel Aviv. European airlines have not indicated if they would also lift flight bans to Israel, but the FAA warns the situation is still, quote, very fluid as fighting rages on in Gaza. On the ground, 21 people were killed as Israel continues to strike Gaza. Among the victims was a family of 6, including a 5-year-old girl and boy of 3. The death toll soars to 718, with a Gaza-based rights group saying more than 80% of the victims are civilians. Photos taken by an astronaut on the International Space Station, or ISS, of war-torn Gaza show a war zone seen from space. German astronaut Alexander Gerst on Wednesday posts photos of Gaza on Facebook and Twitter. The photographs look like nighttime photos taken of populated areas seen from space, but Gerst says some bursts of light in the photos are actually explosions. In his caption, Gerst says, "My saddest photo yet." Gerst has been posting photos of places on Earth as seen from the space station, but most of them are of tourist spots and natural phenomena. In another first for Indonesia, President-elect Joko Widodo, or JOKOWI, crowdsources his cabinet. The JOKOWI Center Facebook page on Thursday uploads a Google form with a list of 3 candidates for each of the 34 ministerial seats. Under each ministry, a box is provided for people to suggest more names. This is in line with JOKOWI's style, who advocates the use of the internet for transparency and accountability in governance. A blogger tweets, "JOKOWI is crowdsourcing his government." JOKOWI says, "It's just asking for inputs. There's no problem with it, right?" Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 5, U.S. President Barack Obama calls Indonesian President-elect Jokowi to congratulate him on his victory in a free and fair presidential election. Obama tells Jokowi he looks forward to meeting at the earliest opportunity. Jokowi won the elections by more than 6%. At number 9, a warning to motorists: at least 12,000 vehicles are expected to take the Smart Connect interchange and NLEX on Sunday to go to the Iglesia ni Cristo Arena in Bulacan. INC members are expected to arrive a day before the INC Centennial. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority advises commuters to plan ahead for this weekend's massive traffic. Should the NLEX experience gridlock, a zipper lane will be opened up so northbound vehicles could counterflow on the opposite lane. And at number 10, 5 Paris hotels launch a scheme allowing guests to pay what they want. The owners are thrilled about the prospects and are confident that clients will not abuse the scheme. The promo is available only to clients who book through the website. France attracts more tourists than any other country in the world. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. If you take a look, these 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes in their mood meter. We see here, story on the Air Algerie plane. It was first just shortly before the newscast, 119 passengers missing over Mali, 15% sad, 78% afraid. We have last night, MVP, the sorry fans furious over the NBA game blunder, a whopping 82% angry. And as we move closer to the story that's gotten the most number of the most number of votes for the day, this is Aquino Senate allies help the cabinet defend DAP. A whopping 40% angry, but much larger, 55% happy. That green bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are happy. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, July 24, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.